Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tips and Tools for Prevention of Elder Abuse webinar presented by the Alliance of the Prevention of Elder Abuse, also known as APEA. My name is Sakina Vora, and I'm the Communications and Education Coordinator at Rights Advocacy Service. I would like to thank our attendees today who've joined us. Just a reminder that we are recording today's webinar, and we'll be sharing the recording with you after the event is complete. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with your network. I would now like to hand over to Christopher Boundy, Manager Access Services at Legal Services Commission, who has kindly offered to do the acknowledgement and introduce APEA. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Sakina, and welcome to you all this morning. I want to start with the acknowledgement. We acknowledge this land as the traditional land of the Kaurna people, and we pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and we recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship with their country, and the continuing importance to the Kaurna people today. We also extend our respect to other Aboriginal groups and First Nations people. I want to now say something very briefly about APEA. This, of course, is the Alliance for the Prevention of Elder Abuse. And APEA is comprised of the Legal Services Commission, the Office of the Public Advocate, South Australia Police, Public Trustee, and of course the Aged Rights Advocacy Service, ARAS. ARAS was the initiating body in 1998, which really developed the impetus for APEA. And together with 5 South Australian agencies combining their efforts, they had a vision to improve and challenge the way that abuse of older people was understood and addressed. Whilst we know that elder abuse can be financial, physical, sexual, psychological, social, and/or through neglect, financial abuse was reported as being the most common form of abuse reported by all the agencies. Consequently, APEA's focus has been and remains on preventative strategies and collaborative responses to financial abuse. Since its inception, APEA's achievements have been many and include statewide education sessions and presenting at many community forums and state and national conferences. It's also important to point out that APEA has a range of resources, including videos and backsheets. These can be viewed and downloaded from the website, which is www.apea.org.au, and hard copies of the resources from a specific APEA agency can also be sent out to you if you contact that agency. So thank you for joining us today, and I'll hand back to Sakina to guide you through today's program.
Thank you, Chris, for the introduction and your time this morning. Before we get started, we just have a few more housekeeping topics to cover. We invite your questions. Please look at the Q&A box on your screen. If you think of a question for the speakers at any point, just type it in there and I will pose it during the Q&A portion at the end of the webinar. If we do not get time to respond to your question today due to time constraints, we will develop an FAQ and we will email all attendees with the recording. Please note you can also post your questions anonymously. ARAS wishes to remind participants to maintain self-care and follow the Australian Government Department of Health COVID-19 social distancing guidelines and South Australia Police Emergency Management directions if you're participating in this webinar with other individuals. So let's get started. I would now like to introduce our first speaker, Doris Joffrey from ARAS. Doris is the Operations Supervisor at ARAS. Doris is passionate about the need to raise awareness of issues concerning older people and how they can protect their rights and safeguard their future. She also chairs APEA. With degree in social science, Doris has worked in the aged care sector for nearly 19 years and sits on many committees and steering groups to ensure the voices of older people are heard. Over to you, Doris.
Thank you, Sakina. We will start off by playing this video called Open Your Eyes from the Australian Human Rights Commission.
Many Australians have their eyes closed when it comes to elder abuse. They don't see the signs and they don't recognise the behaviours. But if we open our eyes, we can see it. Elder abuse can be financial.
He said, Mum, I'll get the money for you.
She said she'd go to the bank for me and withdraw cash.
I gave him my card. He's my son.
And then I got a call from the bank manager.
I just couldn't believe what he told me.
Elder abuse can be physical.
First, he just raised his voice to me.
He yelled at me. And I'm sure he doesn't mean to be rough.
He makes me a bit afraid.
I never expected this from my daughter.
It can even be psychological.
He said I'm a burden.
And I made their life miserable. If I don't change my will, I can't see the grandkids again.
And he's my son.
It just breaks my heart. I've got no idea what I've done wrong.
It's time we all opened our eyes to elder abuse.
That video may have been very confronting for many of you, but it is what we hear today. And some of those scenarios are also what families are going through, what elderly people are going through. So it's really important that we do raise awareness about elder abuse and the different forms of abuse, and that we need to do something about it. So if you see anything or suspect anything, or someone that you may know who is experiencing some form of abuse, please contact ARIS. So if you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, call ARIS on 8232 5377 or our toll-free number 1800 700 600. Now I will move on to my presentation. Again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining APEA, our very first webinar. My presentation today is about taking action to prevent abuse of older people in the community. Thank you. ARIS has been around for almost 31 years, and we are highly respected and well known in the aged care sector, with funding from the federal and state governments. ARIS is the South Australian member of the Commonwealth-funded OPAN. However, there is an advocacy service in each state and territory providing a free, nationally consistent advocacy, information and education. Our service is offered to those who are 65 years and over and 50 years and over for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. Currently, these are our key service areas. ARIS provides advocacy support whether you live in an aged care facility, in your own home receiving aged care services, or in a retirement village. Our Aboriginal advocacy provides a culturally sensitive service across all of our programs. The Navigator Trial assists those who need support to access aged care services. And of course, the Elder Abuse Prevention Service, advocating for older people who are experiencing elder abuse no matter where they live. So the role of the advocate is to take the side of the older person, to understand and exercise the older person's rights and ensure that their voice is being heard on the issues that are important to them. As advocates, we work at the direction of the older person or their legal representative. All matters are treated confidentially and information is only disclosed to another party with the client's permission. ARIS advocates are professionally qualified practitioners and who have undergone police clearances. So if you wish to raise a concern, you can firstly speak with your home care provider. So I'll just give you perhaps a simple scenario and follow these steps. So you may have a provider coming into your home assisting with domestic cleaning. And the care worker that comes in is verbally abusive to you. And also perhaps you need to do shopping. And he says, the care worker says, well, I don't feel like going shopping today. I'm not going to take you shopping. And his presence in your home is also very threatening. So the first thing you need to do is talk to the aged care provider. And you can also have send an email or a written complaint to the provider as well. But you haven't heard from them for quite some time, even though you have made a complaint to the provider. So what you can do to have that extra support is to contact ARIS. Usually this is a very good step because we do have very good outcomes and positive outcomes for the consumer. But if you still have had the issue resolved, then you can contact the Aged Care Quality Safety Commission. Thank you. Let's talk about rights. We all have human civil rights. It doesn't matter what your age is or what your background or culture is, or no matter where you live, we all have the same rights. Older people have the right to be treated with dignity and humanity and to be free to exercise personal determination, the right to be free from inhumane or degrading treatment, the right to liberty, security, and to be free from exploitation and abuse. Also, the right to exercise your right free from all forms of discrimination, that is age, sexual orientation, colour, religion, or ethnicity, to name a few. Rights to enjoy the highest standard of physical and mental health. These are the rights that are the basis for how we live, but when you receive aged care services, there are additional rights that you can expect from an aged care service. These come under the Charter of Aged Care Rights, and it's what you can expect from an aged care service. There are 14 rights listed in the Charter of Aged Care Rights and include safe quality care service, to be treated with dignity and respect. Your culture and diversity also to be valued and supported. Have control over making your choices about your care, including where your choices involve personal risk. It's important to exercise your rights without it affecting the way you are being treated. If these rights are in breach, you have a right to complain, as well as the right to an advocate to support you at any stage of the complaint process, as previously mentioned. Okay. Now, here is a gentleman who didn't know what his rights were, and this situation could have been prevented, and it's a real scenario that actually happened in the community. And this was in regards to a man who was receiving domestic assistance as well as personal assistance with his showering. After a month of this, the care worker was discussing her patient with two other colleagues who knew him quite well. One mentioned that he had a chain smoking habit and the nicotine stains on his beard. But he doesn't have a beard, the worker said. The other two insisted that he did. So a quick check of the address revealed that the worker was actually going to the wrong house, showering the wrong man. And this actually happened. So not to mention the safety of the worker who was going into a stranger's home. And obviously he wasn't going to complain because he was getting all these services free. But the other gentleman should have contacted the service provider and said, "Where is my worker?" So that could have been prevented if only he knew his right to complain. So it's so important to be aware of your rights, particularly when it comes to receiving aged care services. Now we'll go on to the part of this presentation focusing on elder abuse, which can be defined as a single or repeated act or lack of appropriate action occurring within any relationship where there's an expectation of trust. which causes harm or distress to an older person. And as you can see, there are various forms of abuse. Now, the definition, sorry, Zakina, just the previous slide again. In this definition, the key words here is where the older person has a relationship of trust. Therefore, abuse by a stranger is excluded from this definition. Advocates do home visits, but if the older person is living with the alleged abuser, we would prefer to meet at a safer location, such as a coffee shop or even at a friend's home, as this may escalate the situation unnecessarily, either for the older person or the advocate, placing people at risk. Thank you. Now, this is who we work with, and as you can see, older people will contact ARIS if they feel supported. Family members also ring ARIS if they have concerns for the older person, or the older person may have dementia. So you can see the other people that actually do contact ARIS, but I'm just like to focus on other, which is other professional people. And that could be, for example, an accountant who may see unusual transactions in their client's statement, including large withdrawals. Another professional person who contacts ARIS could be a lawyer who may have an older person come in with a family member who is pressuring them to sign over a power of attorney. Thank you. So as you can see from this slide, that psychological and financial are the most forms of abuse reported to ARIS. Okay. And who are the alleged abusers? Unfortunately, adult sons and daughters. These are the people that should be trusting the most. So over half of our cases, alleged abusers are in fact sons and daughters. Around 80% are immediate family members. Some of the risk factors that we know of placing the older person more at risk of experiencing some form of abuse include physical dependency on their adult children for care and transport to medical appointments. Isolation may be related to the death of a spouse and friends. Other common risk factors include dementia, mental health issues, and that could be for the older person as well as the alleged abuser. And there's always some form of family conflict. Older people themselves may be very reluctant to report abuse. Here are some of the possible reasons given as told by our consumers who have contacted ARIS. They're in denial. They don't believe that this is elder abuse. They think that if they do try and seek assistance, that nothing will change. They also feel that it's a family matter and it should be kept behind closed doors. And they will also stand up for their family. Fear of retaliation by the abuser is another. Fear of residential care placement if, in fact, the abuser is removed. And there's always the shame and embarrassment of admitting that someone close to them is deliberately hurting them in some way, runs across all cultures and makes it very difficult to talk to someone about their experience. Just want to also mention the Adult Safeguarding Unit. This is a state government initiative under the Office for Ageing Well, SA Health, and commenced in October 2019. Also known as the ASU, supports people from 18 years and over and who may also have a disability experiencing some form of abuse. Reporting elder abuse to the ASU where the person is at risk or is in imminent harm, ASU have investigative powers. Reporting suspected or actual abuse to the ASU is voluntary. However, once a report has been made, the ASU is required to take action. Anyone can make a report, and you can also remain anonymous if you wish. You can contact the ASU via the SA Abuse Prevention phone line on 1800 372 310, Monday to Friday. In regards to elder abuse prevention, ARIS always promotes safeguard. So we encourage people to plan for the future, and you can do this by considering making advanced care directives, powers of attorney, and update your will when situations do change. Seek legal advice before signing any legal documents. Legal Services Commission will be providing more information on these documents. Another strategy is remain active in the community. Maintain your social contacts, but also develop friendships outside your immediate family is also important. Be involved with community activities. Isolation can increase an older person's vulnerability to abuse. Be as independent as possible. Take care of your own health by having regular checks with your GP or other health professionals. Ask for help from services so that you are less dependent on your adult family, your adult children. Think carefully before accepting personal care in exchange for your possessions or accommodation. And finally, plan to be safe and feel safe in your own home. Consider ringing SAPOL Home Assist, who will do a free safety audit of your home. SAPOL will also be speaking next on how you can do this. You can call Aged Rights Advocacy Service on 8232 5377 for further information about our service, and can also be found by visiting our website. Also, our address and telephone number is printed on the back on all of our brochures. Brochures in other languages are also available on our website. So I do hope that after listening to this presentation that you are better informed about your rights, and that you know how to raise your concerns, and that you can contact ARIS for support. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Doris, for your presentation. Our next speaker is Marcel Confey from Public Trustee. Marcel is a team leader at Public Trustee, where he has been for the past 18 months. Marcel has previously worked within the social services sector for the federal government. And as a team leader at Public Trustee, he manages a team of personal estate officers who are the interface between the customer and Public Trustee. Over to you, Marcel.
Thank you very much. And hello, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. So basically, I'll get started just a little bit about Public Trustee and what Public Trustee have to offer. So firstly, next slide, please. Public Trustee was established 140 years ago. We were the first Public Trustee established in Australia. And our main roles are personal estates administration. We provide a will-making service. We manage estates and trust administration. We provide financial investment services and taxation services. Now, one of our roles is to administer the personal, financial and legal affairs of people who are unable to manage their own affairs. So this starts when the South Australian Civil and Administrative Tribunal or the courts appoint Public Trustee as the administrator or the manager. So if SACA has appointed Public Trustee as your financial administrator, then we will be managing the affairs. We also act for people who have appointed us to manage their affairs when we are named as their enduring power of attorney. So I'll talk a little bit about the Act that allows Public Trustee to manage people's affairs. We go to the next slide, please. So it is under the Public Trustee Act of 1995, and there is a section there. Now, I know this is a bit detailed, but I'll break it down. So the Section 5 of the Act is probably the most important, and it defines the actual powers that Public Trustee have. It means that we are able to act as the individual. So if we're appointed to help an older person, we will act as if we are them. we'll act as their trustee, their executor, their manager of administrator, their receiver of financial funds, their guardian, their next friend, their agent, committee or stakeholder. So basically we act as if we are that individual. Next slide, please. So we at Public Trustee manage over 4,000 personal estates, so very busy indeed. We act under SACAT orders, so from the Civil and Administrative Tribunal, under enduring powers of attorney, and as I mentioned, under court orders. So firstly, I'll discuss, I don't have specific slides for this, but I'll discuss under power of attorney, and then I'll talk about SACAT orders as well. So when we accept the role of power of attorney, we will receive written instructions from a customer who's approached us regarding the actions we can take on their behalf. Now, our appointment legal matters. We include things such as paying people's regular accounts, their electricity, chemist, their telephone accounts, accommodation fees. We also manage other complex matters such as their property management, the sale of their properties, and management of their investment portfolios. So essentially anything to do with their financial affairs. So I'll give you an example of that. Won't be a moment, I'm just having to backtrack. So, for example, we have a customer, we'll call him Harry, who lives on his own and unfortunately had the sudden death of his wife. So when his wife died unexpectedly, he was at loss how to manage his financial affairs, and because Edna, his wife, had always managed their financial affairs, and his own health was failing and he found it difficult to manage. Also, he had one child, and his child, David, lived overseas and was unable to provide support. So the first 3 months after his wife's death were very difficult for him. But with the support of organisations such as Domiciliary Care, Meals on Wheels, the RDNS, or the District Nursing Service, he was able to remain living in the home that he shared with his wife. So he had these community supports, but he wasn't able to manage his own finances. So one of his friends actually suggested that he contact Public Trustee, and we were then appointed as his attorney so that we could actually oversee the payment of Harry's bills. So he came in to see us and we explained how we can assist as his attorney. We decided that we would like to help him with his finances. We were then able to contact all of the external agencies that he deals with and dealt with, and arrange for all correspondence and bills to be sent directly to us. So now we actually collect Harry's income. We invest his funds in our cash common fund, and we pay all of his expenses on his behalf on time. Now, we've arranged for regular payments into Harry's savings accounts, which can also, he can access for his direct living expenses. So we provide him essentially a personal allowance that he can use to live off. And we'll continue to act on his best interest with his consultation. And then once he loses his capacity, we will then be able to continue acting on his behalf and make decisions based on his best interests. Next slide, please. So when we make decisions for customers at Public Trustee, we don't just willy-nilly make decisions and not think about the customer. We actually act under Section 5 of the Guardianship Administration Act. And we call this the principle of substituted judgment. So we actually give consideration to what the wishes of the person would be who has the mental incapacity if he or she had not been incapacitated. Next slide, please. So we establish and take into account the current wishes of the person. So for example, under Harry's circumstances, while he has capacity, we actually take obviously his wishes into account and administer those. But once he isn't deemed to have capacity, we'll still take into account their wishes. And we actually make decisions which are the least restrictive of the person's rights and the autonomy, and the autonomy is consistent with the person's proper care and protection. So that basically means that we will always manage a customer's or a person's affairs with their best interests at heart, and ensure we still allow them to have some level of risk so they can take chances, but we will always ensure that we're acting in their best interests. Next slide, please. Now, I won't talk about will-making services right this moment, but I will actually just go on a little bit about SACE administration orders. So I actually did advise that we do power of attorney, but we also have a role where we're appointed by SACAT to manage the financial affairs of people and to ensure their financial interest is protected. So basically, our role of administration comes into place when people have lost their mental incapacity and have not made any arrangements. So we actually, like when they have a power of attorney made, but this is then enforced by the South Australian Civil and Administrative Tribunal, we will take over their managing their financial affairs for them and administer them in the same way that we would somebody who's under power of attorney. We also assist to collect people's income from dividends and shares. Again, we pay their accounts. We manage their real estate. So, for example, we'll rent out their home if required. If we need to and they have the funds, we can purchase a home for them. We can sell their home. And most importantly, we can pay when people are entering aged care. We can assist in coordinating the payment of their refundable accommodation deposit as well. And we also ensure that the person's money is protected and their assets are used to enhance their wellbeing and lifestyle. And most importantly, we also develop an investment strategy based specifically on the needs of that protected person. So some of the things that you can do to protect yourself, or protect your finances prior to you coming to public trustee. You just need to ensure that you're aware of and follow advice of your bank and how to keep your personal details secure. Keep your important documents such as a certificate of title in a safe place. Not keeping large sums of cash at home or in your handbag is also very important as well. We do find sometimes when we do take over people as estates and we enter their properties to clean up and to help facilitate the sale of their property, we actually do find large sums of cash, which obviously, has potentially put that person at risk. So we always ensure we communicate that we recommend that people deposit large amounts of funds into the bank because that's a secure place to keep it. Another thing is very important to contact your bank straight away if you notice any unusual activity in your bank account or bank statement. Now, finally, we also do offer with our public trustee a will-making service. Now, previously we did it for all South Australians. We now actually offer it for concession card holders, pension card holders, etc. only. It's a government decision, but it ensures that our most vulnerable South Australians still have the ability, with public trustees' assistance, to have a will made and ensure that their wishes are taken into account when they pass away. If public trustee is placed as the executor of the will, we will also then ensure that upon the death that we would then administer their finances as to the wishes of the will. If a person dies without a will, we also do come on board and facilitate their estate, and we call that if somebody's intestate. We also offer free safe custody of public trustee wills, and we have a long history of continuity and reliability. Next slide, please. So again, I stated that we will be the administrator if a person dies or intestate. Next slide, please. We also offer some other support services. So for our customers who either are with us under power of attorney or who are with us under a SACAT order, we have a taxation services division who are able to submit and lodge the tax returns and ensure timely refunds for our customers. We also have funds management. So our funds are invested safely at public trustee, under dedicated funds managers who invest with the interest of the customer. We also seek external consultation for our financial reviews, where we get input to manage our customers' funds appropriately. Next slide, please. So if you do have any questions about Public Trustee, administering your affairs, if you're wanting to discuss power of attorney, you are more than welcome to contact Public Trustee on the number provided, which is our switchboard, 8226 9200. Our website, however, is an excellent source. It has a lot of case studies and examples to find out a lot of what Public Trustee has to offer at publictrustee.sa.gov.au. But I'll be available to answer any questions after today's presentations. And again, if you type your questions and we haven't got time, I'll address them after the fact. Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope this has given you a bit of oversight of what Public Trustee has to offer.
Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you, Sakina.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Senior Constable Claire De Ross from South Australia Police. Claire has been a police officer for 20 years, working in numerous areas, starting out in Port Augusta and for the past 5 years in community engagement section in Adelaide. Prior to COVID-19, Claire was part of the Home Assist program, providing security audits to residents and presentations to numerous community groups. Hello, Claire.
Oh, good morning, everyone. Unfortunately, I do have to say, due to the COVID situation, we're not currently conducting any of the security audits because of our capacity of our staffing have all been pulled into hotel and border control. So at the moment, we can offer information, as I'll give today, and what's on the website, but we can't actually facilitate people going out to do the security audits. So just so you know at the moment. All right. So today we're going to look at home security, and a lot of it will just be a refresher on what a lot of people already know, but sometimes you get a bit complacent, unfortunately, and some of the obvious things, it's good to have a little reminder to secure your home and your valuables. So I've got 3 short videos that Sakina will play in a minute about your exterior, your perimeter and your interior of your property. And then I'll have a chat after each one of those. Sakina, if you can play perimeter, thank you.
There's never been a better time to take an audit of your home security. Protect both your property and the valuable items within it by considering 3 strategic layers to home security: the perimeter, the exterior, and the interior. Let's start with the perimeter. Is the area around the house free from items that an offender could use to break in, like bricks, ladders, and garden tools? Are sheds, garages, and outbuildings locked at all times? Have you trimmed trees and plants to provide good surveillance from the road? Also, are vehicles at the premises secured with all valuables removed when the car is not in use? Better still, can you store your vehicle securely in a locked garage? In our next video, we'll tackle the exterior of your home security. For further crime prevention and security tips, visit our website.
Oh, thanks, Sakina. Further to what was in that very short video, also one of our big recommendations, if you've got front gates and roller gates, make sure they're actually locked, because if it actually slows down an offender from getting straight into your property, they'll hopefully move on to the next property. So it's little things like that that can hopefully protect your home, but unfortunately they may move on to the next one. With rubbish bins, that's another really obvious thing. I think that leaving it in front of a side fence where people can climb up onto them and then into your back garden. And once they're into your back garden, unfortunately, no one from the member of the public walking past or driving past can see what's going on. So putting them behind the side gate is definitely a benefit. Trimming your bushes, making sure that your bushes are below 1 metre and the tree foliage is above 1 metre, because that prevents people from hiding behind that. And then, if you can't see what's going on, like members of the public, coming past and driving past, they can't be manipulating a window or such at the front of your house. So just making a really clear visual of the front of your house to try and prevent someone having that time to loiter around and break into your property. I'll get you to play the next video. Thanks, Akina.
Our attention to the exterior of your home. Are house doors kept securely locked with keys stored out of sight? But do make sure you can get to them easily and quickly in case of emergency. When you're outside in the yard, do you lock all the doors and windows? And if you have an alarm fitted, do you always use it? Are you leaving a spare key in an obvious, accessible location, like under the doormat, under a stone or a pot plant? Do you have exterior security lighting fitted? Knowing the answers to these questions and taking steps to fix any oversights will help to protect your property from theft. In our next video, we'll look at your home's interior security. And as always, for further crime prevention and security tips, please visit our website.
I'll have to thank Mel McRae, is actually the lady that's doing the presenting in those videos, and she's part of our band. So if you want to see her sing, you can have a look online at her doing that in the band. Along with that video, I'd also like to say security screen doors. They are a great layer, having the security screen and then a solid door behind it. But if you're not actually key locking and removing the key, it's not much good. A lot of the time, the older security screens just have the fly screen or a wire mesh. But if it's not the really strong marine mesh, crooks unfortunately will break through that. The fly screens keep flies out, and that's about it. And they'll manipulate the little, either use the key and unlock the door themselves, or a lot of the time they're just a little latch system which is flipped over. So if you can lock them with a key, remove the key, and also hardware stores supply a Perspex panel which can be put self-fitted around the locking mechanism, so people's hands can't get close enough to the lock system to unlock it. So they're a great little $15 thing that you can buy from hardware stores and have self-installed yourself. Also, if you're out the front gardening, we recommend locking your front door again, because a lot of offenders unfortunately work in pairs, and they may approach you, seem really friendly and normal, and distract you, saying they're looking for a dog or just having a chat while someone else is going in your front door. So please use a lanyard or something, or with your keys, and lock your front door if you are going to be out the front for a while. And again, security lighting, I think, is a definite that people should have out the front, because if it's night time and the lights come on, it raises your awareness. It might just be a cat, but it will make you think, okay, I need to listen a bit harder, get my phone, just in case I need to call 000. So sensor lights, I think, are a great option. Next video, please.
So we've covered the perimeter and exterior layers of home security. Now let's take a closer look at the interior. Do you use lights with timer switches when you're leaving the house unoccupied? Are items such as cash, car keys, laptops and jewellery stored out of sight in a safe location? And do you avoid leaving high value items like jewellery in obvious places like a jewellery box? Have you created a written and photographic record of high value items? Also, have you marked your valuable items with your driver's licence number with an S in the front of it for South Australia? You can use an engraver or a UV pen for this. So we've now covered off on the most effective ways to protect your property from theft. Think perimeter, exterior and interior, and you'll keep your valuables safe. For further crime prevention and security tips, please visit our website.
All right, with the valuables, computers, handbags, phones, really a big one, keep it out of view from people walking past. A lot of properties are quite close to the pathways, or even if someone comes up to your front door, which they're allowed to do, if they see a handbag sitting on a kitchen table, unfortunately it's opportunist crimes that happen quite a lot. So make sure they're just out of sight. Put them in a cupboard, put your keys away. It just doesn't trigger someone's mind to say, okay, that's an easy option for them. Along with jewellery, a lot of people keep their jewellery in a box, and that's great and handy for when you want to put it on and it's all easy access. But unfortunately, that also makes it easy for offenders, if they do break in, to take a whole box full of your jewellery. So we recommend actually splitting it up. So put it in a couple of different spots in your house. Actually, preferably not your bedroom, because that is the first place that they usually will go to and search really well. And hopefully if they get one lot of your jewellery, they're not going to get all of it, because it's a lot of sentimental things are lost that way and they can't be passed down through the generations. So it is really sad when you hear the stories about people have lost their whole lot of jewellery that maybe they've got from overseas and things like that. So it is sad for us. As I said before, unfortunately, we aren't doing the home security audits actually coming out to your houses at the moment, but on our website, we do have the home security books, which you can download, and inside there is a do-it-yourself checklist, which I think is a great idea for everyone just to go around their house and do a refresher and make sure they are covering off on some of the basic things that you can do. Now, I will also today talk about some scams, which obviously is a huge problem for everyone. The ACCC have their stats, and in 2020, over $175 million was lost in scams in Australia, and that's without including the 4 big banks. With them, that totaled $634 million in losses. The top 10 scams that people unfortunately are facing are investment scams. Dating and romance is huge as well, unfortunately. False billing, online shopping, identity theft, and the phishing for information on email systems. Relevant to COVID-19, ScamWatch received over 5,170 scam reports mentioning the coronavirus, with over $6 million in reported losses since the outbreak of COVID. And common scams for that involve the phishing for personal information. So someone ringing up and asking for your information, pretending to be another agency. And unfortunately, a lot of people are very trusting and they will give over too much information to these people and they're losing money. Otherwise, the online shopping, people will create false accounts, business accounts, shopping accounts, and people will purchase things and it's not actually a valid shopping site. And superannuation scams as well. They'll pretend to have a connection with you, so it's really important to stop and check. And even if you're approached by email or phone calls and you think it's from a trusted organisation like maybe Australian Post or your bank, that it might not be legitimate. So the tips that we recommend is don't click on hyperlinks. If you're sent an email and it looks legitimate, banks aren't going to do that for a hyperlink to go through to another section to put all your personal details into. Go directly to the website yourself. So actually type in that address, like the MyGov website yourself. So the whole address, not just the words, because it may come up with the dodgy account. Never respond to unsolicited messages. If someone's sending you something that, you've won, $5 million, probably not right. They're probably trying to get your attention and your interest, and then unfortunately suck you into some other little avenue and hyperlink, and that's where people get in trouble. Like I said, with the online shopping scams, people will create fake online stores selling products. Go and check the reviews. If you're interested in something, do a quick Google search and actually check the site, because people will write in. There's plenty of forum sites which actually do reviews on legitimate shopping sites. And also talk to people, talk to your family and friends, ask, lots of websites are available, community groups, just ask other people if you've got some concerns or you think it's a little bit dodgy, because it probably is. Your gut feelings are quite often right. Be wary of sellers requesting unusual payment methods, upfront payment via money orders or gift cards. That's been quite a common one, the gift card scam, and electronic currency like Bitcoin. Now, romance scams is another one that's a big one, where they lost $37 million last year in Australia, and it's expected to get higher due to the rate of dating apps just getting used more and more. And typically these scams are developed over a considerable amount of time with someone. They play on their emotions, and unfortunately people want to have a connection with someone, so they will get caught up in it. One situation, 2019, an Adelaide man lost $50,000 over 2 years through a romance scam, where the scammer had told him that they would be together after she finished her studies overseas. So they're communicating online, they've met on an app, and she's telling him all the right things, that they're going to end up together, but she just has to finish the studies, and he's willing to pay for her to do that. Which he did, $50,000 worth, and then he travelled overseas to meet her, and she didn't arrive. Surprise, surprise. And it's really sad, and he never got the money back. So you just have to be so careful, and unfortunately you can't trust people. Try to limit scam emails coming into your computer system by having an up-to-date antivirus software package. Limit what personal information that you may share on social media, as this can be used by scammers to make out that they know you. They may communicate through an email saying, oh, remember this, or I saw you at an event or a community group, but unfortunately it might not be legitimate. There are lots of sites and prevention advice information on scams. The SafeHole website obviously has lots of information. Scam Watch is a great site with the up-to-date scams that are going around currently. Stay Smart Online will give you lots of information on how to protect yourself, and cyber.gov.au is also another one that's really good for information. So hopefully, along with the home security, you can go away and do your own checklist and make sure that your home's secure, but also just be really mindful with the scam situation, because they will ring you up, they'll sound legitimate, but unfortunately if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So thank you for having me, Ram.
Thank you so much, Claire. I recognize that we are close to end of time, but we do have 2 more speakers to go, so it would be great if everybody could stay with us till the end. Our next speaker is Elise Sullivan from Legal Services Commission of SA. Elise has been a member of APEA since 2015. She's a solicitor working with Legal Services Commission in its administrative law team. Elise's current work has a particular focus on working with older people who are subject to guardianship and administration orders made by SACAD. Elise has presented at a number of seminars, webinars, and conferences on topics of elder abuse, advanced care directives, enduring power of attorney, and wills. Over to you, Elise.
Thank you, Sakina. And thanks everyone for attending today's webinar on tips and tools for preventing elder abuse. I'm very happy to speak today on behalf of the Legal Services Commission. And probably not surprisingly, my presentation will have a legal focus. So I'm going to talk about legal documents and how they can be used in preventing elder abuse. Thanks, Kim. So we're going to look at how legal documents can actually be used as a preventative tool to help minimise or even prevent elder abuse. There may come a time in all of our lives where we might need to depend on others for care for various reasons. And if you have properly executed legal documents at that time, then these documents can ensure that your wishes are upheld and that you have a voice, even when you're unable to articulate your wishes anymore. And the legal documents that I'm talking about are advanced care directives, enduring powers of attorney, and wills. Thank you. slide, thanks. So the first document we're going to look at is an advance care directive. So the image on your screen is what it looks like there. An advance care directive is a legal document that allows you to appoint another person or people to make certain decisions for you. And it becomes activated essentially when you lose the ability to make those decisions. And that's what we call impaired decision-making capacity. In an advance care directive, you write down your wishes and your values so that they can be followed even when you can't articulate them anymore. And your decision maker's role is to follow those wishes and their values. You can also include in an advance care directive things like a binding refusal of healthcare and end-of-life care. Slide, thank you. So an advance care directive covers specific decisions in your life. It covers medical and health treatment. It covers accommodation decisions. This is about where you live. And it covers things relating to lifestyle. So these might be activities that you like to do, how you like to socialise, the things that are important to you, whether that's relating to pets or religion or anything like that. And it's really important to note that an advance care directive does not authorise someone to make financial decisions on your behalf. It just covers those three areas that I've mentioned on the screen. Slide, thank you. However, an enduring power of attorney, which is a separate document, is a legal document that allows you to appoint one or more people to manage your financial and legal affairs. So just like we have an advance care directive that covers health, accommodation, lifestyle, an enduring power of attorney is a separate document covering financial and legal affairs. So this means that the person or people that you've appointed in this document can do things like pay bills on your behalf, access bank accounts, and if authorised, even sell property on your behalf. In most instances, it becomes activated when you lose the ability to do those things yourself anymore. You lose that decision-making capacity. And so because we are talking about quite a lot of power in this role, it's certainly really important that whoever gets appointed in these documents is someone who you trust and someone who understands the role appropriately. Slide, thank you. So just like, so an advance care directive and a power of attorney talk about decisions that need to be made while you're still alive, but you've lost the ability to make those decisions. You've lost that decision-making capacity. A will, on the other hand, is a legal document that sets out how you want your money and your assets to be distributed after your death. So it's a document that comes into play after death. It's a document that you can include things like your funeral instructions, and in a will you appoint a person or people to be your executor. So in this document they're your decision makers, and the role of an executor is to be in charge of distributing your assets following your death and following your directions that you've included in your will. Next slide, thank you. So all these three documents, advance care directives, power of attorney and wills, they all have certain things in common. They all are legal documents that really should be drafted and prepared very carefully. They all involve appointing a person or people in a trusted position. All these documents reflect and protect your wishes and your interests because you are in control of what goes into the documents based on those wishes and those values. And so when these documents are drafted correctly and appropriately, they play a role in minimising elder abuse because they make sure that you are in control of who your decision makers are and what your wishes and your values are as you've included in those documents. Next slide, thank you. So I'm going to very broadly and briefly go through 5 steps to completing these documents. So how do we actually do them? The first step is possibly the most important step, and it's reflection. So before you even go off and get the documents and look at trying to complete them, it's going to be really helpful if you actually take the time to think about the things that are important to you now and the things that might continue to be important to you as you get older. And these are things like how you want to be cared for, what you like to spend your money on, where you're living now and whether you want that to continue into the future, and activities that make you happy, that you want to keep doing as you get older. Slide, thank you. Once you've reflected on all of that, the second step is to have conversations. So this is all about talking to your family and your friends about what you've reflected on. And it's particularly important to talk to the people who you might be considering appointing in a decision maker role, so whether they're in your advance care directive or your power of attorney, because they need to understand not only what is written in your documents, but what you can verbalise to them, what you can talk to them about. If at this stage in the process you're unsure about any of these documents and through the conversations you have questions, then seeking advice and information is obviously very important as well. Next slide, thanks. So once you've reflected on the documents and you've discussed it with those trusted people, the third step is to execute them essentially. It's to decide what documents, if any, you think might be appropriate that you wish to complete. It's then about exploring your options in obtaining the documents and completing them, and whether you might need assistance in that process, whether you can do that yourself or you need legal assistance or other advice. And as before, if you're not sure really where to start or how to get these documents, seeking advice is a good thing to do at this stage. And I just want to mention there that the Legal Services Commission, we do run a free legal helpline that operates from Monday to Friday. The number on the screen there, 1300 366 424. That's a confidential and free service that we provide. So you can call up and say, look, I'm thinking of completing an advance care directive. Where do I get the document? Or what does it mean in this question? And we can try to help you. Next slide, thanks. Once you've gone ahead and completed the documents, your fourth step is to tell others that you've done that. And this is actually a step that sometimes people forget to do, but it is really important. In most instances, if you've appointed people as your decision maker in a document, they'll also need to accept their appointment. So usually there's a step that will involve them accepting their appointment as your decision maker. Once the documents are completed, it can be helpful to provide certainly the decision maker you've appointed, but possibly other trusted family or friends with certified copies of the completed document. And finally, if you are retaining the originals, which often people do, and you're keeping them in a safe place, make sure that someone else knows where that is as well. Because I know that we've all been in a position where we've got that safe place for something like our passport or our will, and we forget where that is. I've certainly been in that position. Next slide, thanks. So your fifth step is the most simplest one. It's to relax. You can sit back and relax knowing that you've set things up for the future. You've outlined your wishes on the things that are most important to you, and you've really considered who should be appointed as your decision maker in these documents. Next slide, thanks. So overall, with the legal documents that I've spoken to you about today, when they're drafted correctly and appropriately, they can play a big role in ensuring that you have a voice when you lose the ability or the capacity to articulate those wishes anymore. They can also minimise the risk of someone experiencing elder abuse, because you've chosen people who you trust to step into your decision maker positions and to make those decisions with your guidance when you're unable to make them anymore. You've also written down clearly your specific wishes and your values that you want to be followed and respected. And as I mentioned previously, with all of this presentation today, if you have particular questions on the documents or you just want some more initial advice, please get in touch with us at the Legal Services Commission via our free legal helpline, which is 1300 366 424. Next slide, thanks. So that is my presentation. Thank you for listening. We'll leave questions to the very end. I'll pass back to you, Sakina. Thank you.
Thank you, Elise. Our final speaker for the webinar is Michelle House, who works as an information officer, education officer, and coordinator of the Dispute Resolution Service at the Office of the Public Advocate. Michelle has been working for the Public Advocate for 14 years and a member of APEA for 7 years. Michelle provides information to the general public, professionals, and service providers.
Thank you, Sakina. I'm not sure if my camera's on, if you can see me, but I think I'm there.
No, unfortunately, Michelle, we can't. Would you like to?
Okay. Let's have another look. It's not coming on for some reason, and I don't know why. Sorry, everyone. A camera issue.
Is it prompting you to start a video?
Yes, it is. I'm trying. I'm sorry, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Michelle.
I've started the video, so I'm not sure what's happening. I'm sorry, everyone. I will keep trying, but knowing the time, I will continue to talk to you. So, as Sakina said, I'm from the Public Advocate's Office. I'm the Information Officer. So, the Public Advocate was created to protect and promote the rights of people with impaired decision-making capacity. The Public Advocate is Ms. Anne Gale, and the Public Advocate is appointed as a statutory appointment. So Ms. Gale reports direct to the South Australian Parliament, and the appointment is for a 5-year term. We're lucky enough to have Anne, who has just commenced her second 5-year term, so we'll have her for at least another 5 years, which is great. The Public Advocate can also make recommendations direct to the appropriate ministers. So the Minister for Health, Minister for Mental Health, things like that. So that's a small amount about the Public Advocate herself. The services that we can provide, we have an information service. That's what I do. So I'm the information officer. We have an education service. We have a dispute resolution service. We can be directed by SACAT to investigate the circumstances of a person's situation. We advocate for our own guardianship clients, and we are guardians of last resort, appointed by SACAT. So the things that probably are the most relevant to this today's webinar is how we can help with the prevention of elder abuse. So our information service, you can ring our information service Monday to Friday between 9 and 5, and I can give you information about advanced care directives, enduring powers of attorney, our dispute resolution service, how to make an application to SACAT, the orders that SACAT have, what they cover. I can tell you where to get your documents and how they work and what they cover. So the information service is there for anyone, from the general public, service providers, professionals. So absolutely happy to talk to anyone. Basically, you would call the Office of the Public Advocate on 8342 8200. Generally leave your name and number, and I would call you back within 24 hours to answer your queries. Our education service is basically what we're doing today. So talking to the public, the community groups, service providers and professionals about what we can offer. So how the Office of the Public Advocate can help, what our services are and things like this. I mean, being able to talk to as many as you online is terrific given the circumstances of COVID at the moment. So that's wonderful that we've got this opportunity. So Dispute Resolution Service, Elise spoke to you a lot about an advance care directive and what it is and what it covers, and the idea that you appoint someone to make those decisions for you when you can't. But what happens if you have made an advance care directive and the people you've appointed are disagreeing, or they disagree with a service provider who thinks you might need something? So that's when the Dispute Resolution Service inside of the Office of the Public Advocate can help. So if you've made an advance care directive and you've written down your wishes and your values and your directions for your future, that might be your accommodation future, or your health, or your lifestyle, and your substitute decision makers can't agree, or there's a dispute with someone else, then our Dispute Resolution Service can look into that. So we can get all parties together, discuss the issues, and then where very possible, uphold the wishes that you've written and that you've expressed. That's why Elise said, when you appoint people as your substitute decision makers, you appoint people that you trust and that you know will uphold your wishes. So it's not what they believe, it's what you want. So for a quick example, you might not appoint your family, you might appoint a good friend, because you believe they would be able to uphold your wishes better than perhaps your family. So you appoint the person who's going to be able to uphold your wishes. So the Dispute Resolution Service, we can help resolve disputes simply by talking to all the parties involved, just with preliminary assistance, or we may be able to go down a mediation process where we all get together and talk about what the person wants, what the person needs, what their wishes were, what they are now, and see if we can resolve the issues before it would have to go to a more formal process of the South Australian Civil Administrative Tribunal. So that is SACAT. You've heard us all talk about SACAT today. So the Dispute Resolution Service is easy to get involved with. You just have to ring the office, speak to me, and I could talk you through the dispute resolution, give you some preliminary assistance, and if we need to go further, send an application so that we can become involved to help resolve disputes. If there's no advance care directive in place and the dispute is simply about consent to medical treatment, so for example, if you need to have surgery, whatever, and one of your decision makers is saying, one of your family members are saying, yes, we think they should have that, and someone else is saying no, then the Office of the Public Advocate can help resolve a dispute about a consent to medical treatment issue as well, even if there's not an advance care directive. And we can resolve disputes about consent to medical treatment from neonatal babies right through to aged. So that's the Dispute Resolution Service, and this is going to be able to help in the prevention of elder abuse. So if you've made your advance care directive and you're clear about what you want for your future, and your substitute decision makers are disagreeing or can't follow that, then we can become involved and try and uphold the wishes of the person. So the office, how you can contact us, like I said, you can ring the office on 8342 8200 and ask to speak to the information officer. And like I said, I can call you back within 24 hours. You can send an inquiry that I can answer either by phone or via email to our email address at opea@agd.sa.gov.au. And we do have on our website some newly produced easy read fact sheets, and they will cover topics such as advance care directives and enduring powers of attorney, applying to SACAT, our dispute resolution service. All the things that OPA cover are in our new fact sheets on our website, and our website is opea@sa.gov.au. So please, if you have any questions, give us a call, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Michelle. And We do have a couple of questions, but I'm just simply conscious of time, and we will address those 2 questions when we send the recording later today. Before we end the webinar, can I request all of you to give us your feedback by answering this question that should be on your screen right now? Thank you. We'll give another 10 seconds. Excellent. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us today, and from all of us from APEA. Have a good day. And if you have any questions or would like to connect with the APEA members, please visit www.apea.org.au. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.